Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show and another episode of The Final Word. And what a final word it's going to be, because we've got an excellent panel and, of course, Leeds United on the back of absolutely demolishing Huddersfield Town in a scintillating first-half performance that saw 4 goals, which was absolutely great. So it's going to be much better than it was on Thursday night. Which was just pretty wild, but also people loved that as well, so thank you. I always struggle to say this name, but R.Sripper says, wow, great panel. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to all these channels as well. All links are in the description of all guests that have been on, to be fair. It's just easier to just bang it in there. So please do go check each and every one of them channels out. Before I introduce everyone as well, as you can see from the bottom corner there, Max was asking what it was. Well, I'm going to tell him now. That is Cool Media. Big shout out to Luke, a Leeds fan, who contacted me and asked to sponsor the channel. Cool Media marketing advertising agency, helping businesses get found, seen and chosen online. If your business wants to generate more inquiries or leads, contact Cool Media for a free digital audit to see how they can help your business. They also offer free impartial advice for businesses that are using a pay-forward method of advertising, which would include the likes of Facebook and Google. Make sure you check them out. All links to his details and the company's details are in the description. So thank you for that. And if you want to come on board and sponsor, please get in touch, and I'm sure that'll be the same for the rest of the gang as well. If you would like to do that, please do get involved. And let me remove that from Kate's face, and we'll get this show on the road. I'm going to start with you, Chris, just because we haven't seen you for a while. It's great to have you back on. I know you've been chasing down Rory McIlroy for world number 1. Is it Spieth? I don't know. Is it McIlroy? I don't know. But how are you doing, Chris?
I'm all right. It's Scotty Scheffler, current world number 1.
Okay.
Me not far behind, mate. Yeah, like Keaton's version of. I'm good, mate. Yeah, really well. It's nice to be back, and it's nice to be feeling positive about Leeds United again after the last couple of seasons. So it's nice to be back on the hype train, mate.
It is, exactly. We are certainly on that hype train. Max, how are you, mate? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm feeling much, much better after the weekend, because Wednesday I was miserable. Absolutely miserable. I thought, oh, the world's falling apart again. I'm like, oh, HMS Pistol League's back.
Yeah. Like about 4:15 or maybe 3:30, or maybe like 3:45. Probably 4:45 at half time when Ipswich were losing and Leicester were drawing. I think at the time I was like, oh, this could be a real good weekend. Obviously, it didn't end up landing that way, but I hear you. HMS Pistol League is back on. Lockie, how are you, mate? I haven't spoken to you for a bit. I know you've been head down in uni stuff. How's tricks?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, after the Stoke game, last 10 minutes, like 15 minutes, about 15 minutes, I had to go out. So I had no connection. But the last thing I got was a tweet saying penalty to Leeds. I was like, oh. When I arrived at the venue, we missed the penalty and we were 1-0 down, which ruined my mood. So that was a great. I got very drunk that night, but yeah.
Did you guess who'd taken the penalty before you checked?
I had no idea, mate.
Oh, okay.
I was just presuming. I was like, yeah, we'll be all right here. No, we're 1-0 down. Yeah. Apart from that, good recovery at the weekend, and I feel much better.
Yeah, exactly.
Again.
Kate, aside from Bamford entering the pitch, how was your Saturday? Was it good?
Yeah, it was good for the first half. So yeah, quite happy. Really happy with the way we played. Really happy for Dan James as well. I thought he was great. Just more composure on the ball. Really good to see. Yeah, happy until.
And how are you being back in the YouTube scene and back in the game? Are you doing good?
I'm good, thank you. But I've only been on yours so far, Joe.
Oh, right,
so just baby steps. But I'm on tomorrow. First day
Good,
back.
good,
So I'm
good.
looking forward to it. I feel okay. Yeah, thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm good about this, and make sure everyone who's watching now goes and checks out that stream that'll be back in the morning, because Kate's missed you, and I know a lot of you have missed Kate because you kept messaging me saying, where is she? She's not back with
Bless
us,
you, Joe.
which is good. And Joe, that beard seems to be getting darker. Are you applying more just for me tonight, or what?
No, it's not getting any darker. It's
going
just getting
on?
longer, and it's just dark in here. And we got one light today, but no.
Somebody
it's,
said to me, Jez dyeing his beard.
Yeah, no.
I
This
I
is,
have to just get it in every time. I'm
But
like, I'm going to rib him. I'm going to put him in there.
it's got
But you
past
good?
this stabby, itchy phase. It's got to the now, sinister Bond villain stroking phase. So it's
I expect your
progressing well.
videos to start with you spinning around on your chair saying, I've been expecting you.
Stroking a cat.
Yeah, with a cat and yeah.
You've got a bit of
Yeah.
a look of Ten Hag, you know.
Don't say that, mate.
No, he
No, I
Just a
doesn't.
little bit.
Yeah,
You
but
don't
take it
think?
back. Take it back
Okay,
now,
I
Joe.
take
Hey,
it
he's
Joe,
more,
you've said
he's
a lot
more
of
pep. He's more pep.
Joe, you said a lot of
Yes,
things
maybe
over the
more.
years.
Yeah, more
that
pep.
than me, but that's the one. Take it back.
You'd take Pep though, wouldn't you? Pep's
Absolutely.
I've
in a
seen
heartbeat, I'd take
skinny Mike Tyson. Not Mike Tyson.
that. No, you
God.
saw Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury, yeah. No.
Ah,
right,
yes,
I see
yes,
that,
yes.
yeah.
Mike Tyson. I'm going to say Mike Tyson's a stretch, but yeah. No, yeah, I get that. Fury. That's have you had that before, have you, Joe? Are you sure?
There was a guy that was coaching one of our teams at one of my old clubs that I was at, and at one of our end of year award dues, I was wearing a 3-piece suit, and he kept coming over to me going, "Just do this, just do this." And I kept taking photographs of me. I didn't know he was posting them all on Facebook, going, "Jerry looks like Tyson Fury," and just kept at it all night. And me going, but yeah, I get it a lot. When I have the beard, I get it a lot. Yeah.
Love it.
So
Love
how was
Right.
it last night then, Tyson?
I won the fair and square. No.
I know, right? Yeah, less said about
Oh,
that, the
dear.
better, to be honest. It's
Yes.
poor, isn't it?
Joke stuff.
Yes. Right, okay. I've got a few talking points which we'll touch on throughout. But let's just get what your initial thoughts are on the game, and we'll go back round. We'll start with you, Chris. What were your thoughts on Saturday mornings or afternoons, early kick-off where Leeds United thumped Huddersfield? What are your thoughts, buddy?
Very positive, mate. Got the job done in 45 minutes. Tough game coming up on Friday, so allowed us to rest some players and basically walk around in the second half, didn't it? Let's be honest, it was training ground efforts. I'm not, as fans, we all want to see him stick 7 and 8 past the local rivals, but it's understandable what happened. Cree and Gio Rutter just making a mockery of this. I don't know about us being HMS Piss the league, but Rutter at the minute is HMS. I'm going to take the piss out of everyone in the league. He's incredible. Just loved it, and it was nice, even though the second half was, a bit drab of a watch, to kick off in the second half going, this is fun, isn't it? No stress, no nothing, just chilled. So really pleased, mate. And every team has bad performances. It's about how you bounce back, and that's how you bounce back.
100%. It's funny you say that about it being dead easy. Probably the last time we had that was when we were last in the Championship and we won the league, really, wasn't it? When we were that good, It was that kind of vibes again, for sure. Max, were you at the game or doing a watch along, buddy? Were you doing?
I was doing a watch along. Yeah, I didn't get tickets for this one.
All good.
Yeah, it was. I said on my stream, and I think there's a bit of recency bias in this, but I think I said and then downgraded it. At first, I said I think it's the best half of football I've ever watched Leeds play, but then I downgraded it to one of the best.
Definitely one of.
But yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it? It was such an exciting half of football. It was so good to watch. We were so good going forward. You could see though, the goal that Dan James scored was one of the goals that Dan James scored was almost exactly the same as the goal against Norwich. Where Jorginho Rutter was in the left back position, knocked it forward to Somerville down the left. He ran up, cut across the pitch, but this time instead of shooting in the bottom corner, he passed it to Dan James, who finished with aplomb, by the way. That man, if he can keep up having some final product, he'll be unbelievable, because the 2 goals that he scored, that's exactly what you've always wanted him to do, innit? He's got the pace to get in those positions. And then when he did, he finished them so nicely. And it's like, yeah, so I was buzzing for him, buzzing for Somerville, buzzing for Jorginho. I thought we were excellent in that first half. Second half, obviously, we'll talk about that in a bit more detail, I think, but we sort of coasted, didn't we? But overall, yeah, we got the job done before half time. So, it was a wonderful half of football.
Yeah, it was, mate. It was. I think it was the last time we were 4-0 up was 1995 against Ipswich with Howard Wilkinson in charge. I know LUFC data put that out at half time, so it just shows how long it has been since we were coasting as easy as that at half time. Lockie, how was it for you, brother? Obviously, I know someone's just praised you there. You were singing Rutter's praises before the season. People like to remind me, especially on James and Rutter, once upon a time I said that, these players are this and that, and yeah, it is what it is. You can't be right all the time. Only 95% of the time in my case, but it is what it is. But how was it for you, mate?
Don't let me bring up your wild takes on Strauch at the start of the season as well, Joe.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was very happy. I was a bit hungover, so I kind of just wanted one of the, you can just relax and just enjoy it. Not one of these tense, and it was, wasn't it? 4-0 up, cruising. The goals were brilliant. Yeah, I remember I think the start of the season when we did Player of the Year, and me and Max said Jorginho, and Max said Dan James, and we're both like this. They'll be all right. Hey, what a weird few months it's been in football, because them two and Chris Somerville obviously was ridiculous, wasn't it? Them three are just so deadly. Like at times, especially Jorginho, and just in terms of how more powerful he is than everyone else around him. Like that, he just knocked it. He did lose the ball, but he didn't. He knocked it past 2 of them. They were in front of him, and he just ran through him and got it.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
It's mental. He's just so much better than them, and it's so good to see the team just enjoying themselves and having fun. Yeah. And I think Daniel Farke must have, understanding the opposition, must have said, "Oh, we're better than these. Go for it. Let's kill it off by half time. Let's have a good second half where we can just keep the ball and just do what we need to, save the legs for Leicester, because that's the game, innit, really?" And they did that 4-0 at half time. Game's done there. They're never coming back into that at all. And I'm just really happy at the moment with when players coming in now, you're seeing how they're fitting into the side. Kamara, for example, in a heavily possession-based team is brilliant. Dan James, his positioning is getting right now. He's not really in the build-up. He's on the last man. That's where he's really effective in games. And we build up down the left, and it's just good to see. It's really good to see,
Yeah, that left-hand side build-up and their full-back, Edwards or whatever his name was.
Honestly, poor lad.
Yeah, man. He was
I think that's one of the worst performances I've ever seen at Elland Road. Yeah. Actually, no, not at Elland Road. In professional football, it's one of the worst. I said...
Huddersfield Town fans have started a petition, haven't they?
Yeah, to get rid of him.
Is it the worst or one of the worst, Max? Are you gonna,
I think it's the worst. Because in the first minute, someone skinned him, and I said, "Oh my God, we just need to target him down that side because he's awful." And they just continued to do that for the rest of the half. And like Lockie says, that one where Rutter knocked it past and then went and got it? It's because the communication was so terrible between them. They were both like, "Are you going to get it? Are you going to get it?" By the time they've said that, Jorginho's already gone, and Joe just pointed out then there's that video of him just going, just runs into the box.
I think someone had said, I don't know if the Square Ball retweeted it, but someone at the ground had said that he'd turned to his teammate and pointed at Rutter and said, "I just can't get near him." So you
have those days.
He'll be in therapy after this, won't he? They've been nightmares about Jorginho Rutter running away from him.
For sure. It was an unbelievable performance by all, really. To be fair, can't really pick out any. Well, maybe the second half, and we'll speak about some of them individuals. But Kate, you touched on it, didn't you, briefly, when I was going round asking how it was for you. But I thought it was quite interesting. Like we can hammer Farke against Stoke, but I thought he got everything bob on again for this game at the weekend, Kate, in terms of the selection going back. Even resting Archie Gray and bringing in Shackleton worked as well.
Yeah, I was actually really, really pleased with the lineup, to be honest with you. I mean, I couldn't fathom why he picked the lineup that he did on on Wednesday, was it, against Stoke? Yeah. To be honest with you, but I thought he got it spot on Saturday. Great to see Shaxs at right back, and I thought he did a great job as well. For me, I think to what Max said, it was the best performance so far. But that first half was really positive playing, passing the ball out really, really quickly. A nice positive start, not the sort of, didn't take us that long to sort of wind up like it usually does. Took control really early, mixed up the play, long balls, short balls. And it was actually fun to watch. It was fun to watch them like rampaging around the pitch, particularly Rita, who was literally unplayable. Some good blocks in defence as well by Rodon and Stroik. So first half, fantastic. Yeah, I don't want to really put down on it. Intensity did drop off in the second half. We did lose that half. Of course, we want to try and win as many halves as we can. But yeah. A win's a win, 3 points, 3 points. I just hope we go and perform like we did in the first half at Leicester, because we're going to have to.
Going into every game this season, I've been confident, and that Friday game, I genuinely don't know what Leeds are going to turn up and how it's going to go. I just pray that we don't get beat. I can't deal with my good friend Locks. That's the only thing I'm asked about, really, to be honest. May do my head in, but Joe, do you know what else is doing me head in as well? Everyone waxing lyrical on Keane and Dewsbury Hall like he's the next thing since sliced bread. I've heard the second tier, and regardless of whether you listen to them or not, they are up there in terms of content for Championship. All Championship teams go to them. So they had... listen, they're good lads as well. I did a video with them in All Leeds TV the first season we got when we got promoted. They are good lads, so I'm not attacking them. But anyway, all I'm saying is they're chatting shit so much on Keane and Dewsbury Hall, yet Rutter has created the most big chances in the league, streets ahead of Keane and Dewsbury Hall.
He's almost doubled his.
Yeah, he's almost doubled his, and it's just phenomenal, isn't he, Joe? Talk to me about the game and Rutter as well. He doesn't even have to score, that's the thing, or assist, and he can still get a man of the match for me. He's that good.
He's an excellent number 10, Joe, and he's been a brilliant number 10 for us all season. Because everything he does well, he does from those number 10 positions, and I'm loving watching him.
Let it go, man.
No, I'm actually saying he's actually yesterday he dropped into that number 10 position far more than he has done, at least earlier in the game, than he had been doing previously.
Yeah,
I thought he was brilliant again. I really, really did. You see him. It's not only the range of passing that he has as well; it's the weight of the pass. Like that ball to Somerville, he goes to hit it, then he waits a second, and then he flicks it over everybody, and it's a perfect weight ball right in front of Chris Somerville. He's involved in everything. He's involved in the first goal. He's involved in the third goal. And he's involved in the fourth goal. And he gets the flick on for Pirro's goal that's disallowed. He's in the middle of everything creative that we do. And he's an absolute joy to watch. I don't know why people aren't talking. I don't watch the second tier. I heard their stuff during the summer. I went, no, it's enough for me. You're talking about stuff without doing any homework, so I'm not going to listen to you guys. So yeah, and it's not surprised they're waxing lyrical about a player that's not at Leeds, and not talking about Georgina Rutter, because from what I made out from watching them, they don't watch a whole lot of Leeds. They just pick up what they read on Football Insider and talk about that instead. So I'm not surprised, but he's been brilliant for us. But so is Chris Somerville. Chris Somerville is growing and growing. I said this a couple of weeks ago. He's two weak parts of his game: tracking back and whether he's arsed or not. They're the two parts of his game that he struggled with last year at times. This season, he's shown an ability to learn and get better in every single one of those things. His tracking back has been brilliant. His work rate off the ball is fantastic. He's getting into pockets of space. He's finding space. But there was a moment in the game yesterday where the second goal where Tony Dorigo said the defenders look terrified when Somerville gets the ball. They just back off and keep back, and no one goes to engage him. So he was great. But I think Glenn Kamara went possibly under the radar yesterday. I thought he was really good. I thought, again, he was slightly more advanced than we had with Groove and against Stoke. And again, I heard Square Ball describe it as maybe Groove is the Ampadu replacement and not the Kamara replacement, and Archie the Kamara replacement, and that's the pairings. And that would make more sense. But I thought Kamara is in the middle of everything that started yesterday. So they're really, really good. Yeah, I'm delighted with them. They're excellent.
Yeah. No, you bang on. Right, we'll do... Is that a shit sandwich? No, I want to do positive. We're now going to talk negative, and then we'll finish on a positive again. So, because we can't just be happy all the time, can we? We've got to be a little bit constructive. We've got to be a little bit constructive. Second half. Chris, I'll come to you because I mentioned the old guards before we came live, and you went, "Get them gone." So I thought, right, okay. I mean, I have my opinion, you have yours, everyone has theirs. So I want to hear yours first and foremost because you seem pretty forthright with it. Old guard, and what we mean by that, obviously, Bamford came onto the pitch, Ayling came onto the pitch, Cooper came onto the pitch. There was a clear drop in quality, but also there's what I would say on their part as well is, especially when it comes to the back four, my opinion is you basically change 4 positions because Shackleton went to left back, Ayling went to right back, Strout went to right centre back, and then Cooper went to left centre. So it was a bit all over. Of course, we know that they haven't got the legs anymore, and we are in this transition period, and they're probably not going to see next season if we're out of this division. But do you think at this point, mate, that they're taking other people's places on the bench and we should be turning to other players like Creswell, like Joffy, like there's many others, in the Joseph, other players? So what's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, basically, I think they are, mate. I think, look, we know that when Jed Spence is fit, he's our right back going forward. It looks like probably Shax then is the number 2 choice in that position. That then is Ayling done for me at the end of the season. Coop's coming on, and I don't think Charlie was on the bench, was he? But for me, he should have been, and therefore you can leave Pascal at left centre back where he belongs. Bring Charlie on alongside him against a bloody poor team, so it's not like the world's going to collapse, and it gives him some game time. And then obviously Shax went to left back and did the best he could. But again, as always with Leeds United, we're light in the left back area. Sam Byram's been fantastic, but we need some cover for him at least. As for the old guard in general, I tend to think that it's clear that Farke's not overly keen on them, right? I think that's coming to, especially Luke Ayling with Archie Gray going right back, Shax going right back. And this, people confuse this with me saying, or with others saying, it's time to move on, with hating. And it's not. They've been wonderful servants for the club, but football is about evolution. And building a football team is about evolution, and they've been fantastic for the club. But we've got to move on, and we've got to get better and more squad depth. I do think a couple of them might have been gone in the summer if we hadn't have had all the rats jumping from the sinking ship and major changes going on anyway, where I think the board and Farke had to say, we just need to put the brakes on here and see who we've got by the time the window closes. I do think by the end of this season, regardless of which league we're in, the 3 of them at least need to be moved on. We've got to give the younger kids a chance. We've got to create space in the squad for more quality to come in and more depth to come in. That's my take on it. All 3 of them, when they do, if and when they do go, would be, sent off with warm regards and thanks for everything they've done. I would like to see maybe a Liam Cooper, when he hangs up his boots, maybe come back as a coach. He is Leeds United. He gets Leeds United. But yeah, people have got to stop with this sentiment FC stuff because they had a good season 3 seasons or 4 seasons ago. Give them another chance. Get off the back. You're like, give it a rest. When was the last time any of them had a really good game? I can't remember.
Alone.
Ayling, man, bless him. He runs in treacle now. It absolutely runs in treacle. It's like someone strapped 2 concrete slabs to his boots. And it's actually sad to see for someone who was 3 seasons ago so dynamic at right back. And it's not fair on him. So for me, thanks for coming, boys. You've been wonderful, but time's nearly up. Let's start looking elsewhere.
It's painful for me to
rant over.
That, but...
Can I come in here?
Go on, go. Because you were banging it. You were banging the drum. Go on.
I felt like just like hallelujah. Do you know what I mean? Somebody thinks as I think. I couldn't agree more. I'm not going to bang on about it, but I totally agree with everything you say. My heart sinks every time I see Luke Ayling ready to come on, and I do get a lot of grief for this. But yes, he's been a great servant for the club. They all have. But time to move on. Give the younger guys a chance. 4-1 up or 4-0 up. And give somebody a chance to get some game time. They don't need game time. They need winding down. It's not rocket science. We're never going to get the likes of Cresswell, and Matteo Joseph and guys like that coming through, don't give them game time, and just resorting to the lazy decisions of bringing on those three game in, game out. It's ridiculous. They need putting out to pasture, in my opinion.
If they were a racehorse, you'd have shot them. Is what you're saying, yeah?
The curtain had already up.
But I do you know what, Kate, though? What I do agree with, and I feel that, and I'll come to you with this, Max. Because I was saying it even before the match started. I feel for Cresswell a little bit. And the reason I do is because this was a guy that was lauded by a lot of football clubs.
Mm-hmm.
He was wanted by a lot of football clubs as a young lad breaking through. And he remained loyal to Leeds United. He signed a new long-term deal, and now he can't even get in the matchday squad. So he's probably thinking with his family, with his agent, what did I do? Why have I done this? Because he's still getting picked for the 21s. He scored last time out, didn't he? And he can't get looking even into the matchday squad. He has he won't be kicking up a fuss. He's not that type of character. But I get where Chris is coming from in that respect, especially with someone like Cresswell. I'm not too sure on... Well, Ayling will be out anyway when Spence comes. As for the striker options, I think Joseph picked up an injury. I think had he made it through pre-season, he probably would be in the squad over Bamford, to be honest. But where's your head lie on it with it, Max?
Well, pretty much what you've said there about Cresswell. We talk about, when you talked about, I think it was someone mentioned anyway, Ampadu and Kamara in midfield, and Gray being the backup for Kamara and Gruev being the backup for Ampadu. And it should be the same with the centre-backs. It should be that if Pascal is injured, then Liam Cooper is our only left-sided centre-back and he can come in then. But Pascal, if he stays fit, Cooper doesn't get game time. If Rodon is substituted or comes off, gets a knock, it should be Cresswell that comes in there. He's young, he's fresh, he's already had a season in the Championship where he's shown that he can be a very good Championship defender. Yeah. With somebody like Strout next to him, who is also been through the exact same journey that Cresswell's been through, it just needs to be that way. And ironically, I think that Patrick Bamford, out of the three of them, is the only one who provides us some actual use in terms of what he can actually, because he can still actually set up goals like he did for Somerville when that shot was blocked. He can still be in the right positions. But Ayling, running in treacle, like Chris says, honestly, his pass completion must have been under 50%, which is just not good enough at all. He can't get back. He can't get forward. His passes never make the mark. And then Cooper, as soon as he came on, he got sent for a hot dog and then gave away a penalty. That was a penalty. If there was VAR, that's a penalty. His trailing leg just wipes out the striker. And he was so slow. Joe Rodon is actually really quick. And I've been saying this, but the amount of times that a through ball is played to an opposition striker and Rodon gets between the striker and the ball and just shields it safely back to Meslier. Cooper, he's nowhere near that. The player's gone past him before he can even turn. He's just so slow now. And this goes without saying that obviously they've been great servants of the club. And this is why I almost feel bad saying it, because I've always tried to be as positive as possible on my channel and on every channel I go on. But at this point, I cannot see a way in which them being in the squad is good for Leeds. When I say that Bamford is probably the most useful out of the three of them, I'm not saying I want him anywhere near Leeds United after this summer, for example. I did say he needs to go. It's time for him to go. But for me, the other two just look like they don't fit even more. Like they look like they're at like League One, League Two level for me. I just can't see them. They're just there because of what they've done in the past. And for me, until somebody else is fit to play striker, in which I like Matteo Joseph, but I don't know if he's ready to be a Championship striker. And no. At least we know
he's
that
played
Patrick
off the left a lot as well,
physicality.
bro. He has played off the left a lot as well.
My argument, Max, is, and I get it, mate. I understand what you're saying, but until we give him that chance, we don't know if he's a Championship level striker.
Yeah, fair enough.
And until you give him that chance, who knows?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, John, very quickly. I agree that obviously they're not at the level. When they come on, they're clearly slower than everyone around them, right? That's clear, right? Like their right back was. It's some players that, for whatever reason, they're not at the level. They're older now. It happens to everyone. It'll happen to some of our younger players in 10 years if they're still here. So My thing about Creswell is he's had this championship experience. He's playing for the 21s, but let me just tell you about England 21s. They pick based on name a lot of the time. There's a lot of problems there, as we've seen in the first team. Not on form necessarily. So why on earth is he not even making the bench? There's Joffrey, there's a few others there that we're asking. The second band of players behind our starting 11, I don't think they're doing enough, or they're at a level yet to even talk about. We've got competition, right? But we need more. I'm looking at Joffrey, I'm looking at Creswell, who are not even on the bench. There's clearly a performance issue based on at training, whether he's below the level, whether he's, I'm not going to say he's not working hard enough, but whether his fitness isn't there, whether he's too slow for the system. You think that with Liam Cooper, but what's Liam Cooper got over Creswell? He has that experience, right, in and around the squad. What is Creswell not doing to not even warrant a place on the bench? I think he's.
What's he not doing?
Yeah, you've got to look into I feel sorry for him, but in a way, that's on him to do that. If he's doing well enough in training, of course, we're going to defend. Daniel Farker doesn't want to lose any football game. He'll play the players he believes at training are doing the best. And clearly Creswell, for whatever reason, and I hope he can figure that out, isn't at that level yet. And then talk about getting minutes. I don't think he don't come on if Roden don't have that injury scare. Roden will play the 90 minutes. That's not a problem, but you can't keep him on, can you? We've got to think about Leicester. Ayling as well, his fourth choice. I'd even argue I'd rather play Byram down that side than Ayling at this point. I think the fact they got minutes was based on the fact we were 4-0 up and it's the third game in a week and we have Leicester, next. That's it for me. I don't want to see them necessarily when it's a tight game or a close game.
No.
But with those players that are not there, what are they doing to not warrant a place on the bench? And Creswell is good. We've seen it in the Premier League. He did it for a few games when he came in. He's not took that next level, and I think a lot of it is on him. That's what he's got to figure out.
I think some of it is down to how many young players are in the squad, if I'm being honest. And there are moments where Daniel Farke's comments don't line up together correctly. Like if you think about last week, him defending playing Archie Gray, who played 90 minutes inside of 2 weeks, which was a ludicrous amount of minutes to play for a kid. And then when he was asked about Charlie Creswell during before the weekend's game, he said, he's played a lot of games for the England 21 team. We have to mind his minutes to go, but he's not playing for the Leeds on the 21 side. He's not playing for the first team. He's only playing international football. Why are you minding his minutes and not minding Archie's, who's 17 years of age? That didn't make sense.
He did the same with Kamara as well. He said it about Kamara as well.
They don't line up. I know Charlie had a bit of a knock during pre-season as well, but Charlie, when he has played, I don't think he's done nothing wrong. I think a couple of players are maybe struggling after what happened against Salford. I think there's maybe a few players have fallen down the pecking order. Mateo Joseph last year, when he did come off the bench a couple of times for us last year, looks to me like the most natural finisher that we have in and around the box. If you look at him in the 21s, he's pretty much a poacher. He's always in these little gaps in the box and finds himself on the end of things. So again, I thought looking at him in preseason, I thought, this guy's actually bypassing Joffrey now. He's probably ready, and it looked like Farke liked him. But with the old guard, there's just so many knock-on effects that I don't like, and I've said I don't want to see Cooper and Ayling leave the club. I want them to stay in the club. I just don't want them in the team. I want them giving their influence to the younger players and helping the younger players. But I don't want to see them playing because, as everyone has said, the second Cooper comes on, all of a sudden the back line's all off. They're like, oh, well, Pascal can play with both feet. We'll stick him on the right. I said this weeks ago, stop moving Pascal Stroke. He has been phenomenal at left centre-back. Leave him there. Why is he the one that has to move to facilitate Cooper? Cooper's an experienced footballer. He's played centre-back his whole career. Why can't he go in at right centre-back? And if he can't go in at right centre-back, then put a right centre-back on the bench. It's that simple. Like Creswell has to, at some point, Creswell either has to be good enough or sell him. There has to be, but if you're not going to play the kid, then let him go. But there has to be something there for me. I don't like the amount of changes that need to happen. I don't like how we were in the second half anyway before the changes were made yesterday. I don't like when we play slow football. Commented on it against Stoke, commented on it against Norwich as well. When we play slowly, we leave gaps. When we play slowly, we give opportunities away. And we did that with yesterday. I didn't like the second half at all. And I don't want to ever see us play like that. I'd like us to keep the tempo, at least keep the tempo high. And then when you bring the players on, everything slows down. Players have to drop deeper to cover in gaps in behind then. And it's a mess. And there's no need for it. There isn't a need for it. There should be players there. And again, if we don't have a left back, buy a left back. Buy a left back if we don't have one. just go and buy a left back.
Sure.
You know, so there's
Joe, I was just going to say, someone mentioned to me when I was streaming the game, they said, I can't remember, I don't know whether they said this was what Farker had said or whether it was just something that they'd theorized, but basically the premise of it was that obviously Cooper and Ayling are players of leadership within the squad. And
have to be on the pitch to do that.
Yeah, so the point was that they were saying that why would the young players respect them as leaders in the squad if they aren't good enough to get a game and they don't see them ever getting any minutes?
Because they have got minutes and they have been there and they have achieved things. And they have a legacy of work behind them that suggests they're players you should listen to.
Yeah,
so
I'm saying
just to say as well, I'm not saying I understand the reason why we played slowly in the second half. I understand it was 3 games in a week. I'm just saying I don't think we're good when we do that. And the fact that they scored proves that. And the fact that Cooper, it was a penalty. It was a nailed-on penalty. And we got away with one as well. So they're my issues. The fact that we played slowly causes these things to happen that shouldn't happen. You know, we should have been way more in control. But the Odegaard stuff, it does. It weakens the side. And again, either Joseph is ready or he's not. But everyone in the England 120 setup waxes lyrical about him. They think he's a fantastic player. He scores nearly everything plays 21s he scores except for today. But he's making an impact in games. So, you know, put these kids on the bench because they are the future of this club. And if we don't play them, we do run the risk of losing them. But if they're not good enough, then they shouldn't be in the team at all or in the squad. Then you got to go buy a right-sided centre back and you've got to buy a second striker and you've got to go buy a fullback. That's the reality here. If they're not good enough,
you would just hate to see us deprive these young players of game time and then leave us and then pop up a few years later as really, really good players at some other club. That's the issue, isn't it?
Like Lee Davis.
Yeah, and I know we sold Jack Clark for about £7 million, but he went off the boil at Leeds and we were like, oh bloody hell, we'll take 7 million for him and look at what he's doing now. I know it's a few years later, but
it took 3 years to find his form.
He got ill, didn't he? He got ill at Leeds, and then when he came back after that, he just wasn't the same. He just wasn't the same player.
Yeah, I think Mateo Joseph a lot of it is based on that injury. It was out about 5 or 6 weeks without kicking or something like that, which is start of the season. It's horrible, isn't it? So I think I choose the second half of the season. I think he'll be on the bench a lot more once he's fit. I hope so.
Okay. Let's move on from that. Because we're here all day. But a few questions were asked me in a watch along I did earlier on, and they were saying that a few people said they were worried about the second half going into Leicester. Rather than go around the houses, should we be worried about that second half, or was it a case of we're 4-0 up at half time, man? Let's just, because you got 2 schools of thought, right? As a fan, I want them to go out and do what City do against Man United or Liverpool do against Man United and slap them up 6-2, 7-0. Or you have that other school of thought that goes, let's just take our foot off now and keep the ball.
It's funny you mentioned City because this is what Lockie was talking about the other week. We were on JUSTJOE podcast and Lockie was saying how last season when Man City won the treble, they went a couple of goals up and then they just went and just chilled for the rest of the game.
He'd bring off Haaland on hat-tricks, wouldn't he? He'd bring off Haaland on hat-tricks.
Because they were in all the competitions, so they were playing so many games that they were like, okay, we've won this game. We can take our foot off the pedal now. And I think you hit the nail on the head with that, Lockie, because it's you're 4-0 up. Yes, for the fans, it's exciting, but Farker's thinking long-term, isn't he? Thinking this is a 46-game season. I want to get promoted rather than let's put down some dogs.
I think the difference
the substitution said it all, bringing Cree off so early. It was like, right, let's start resting up. The lad was on a hat trick.
Cotton wool.
Put him in cotton wool. Let's sack it today. Knock it around the park, boys. I agree with you. We're not good when we play like that. And as long as we don't start like that on Friday, then great. But I think it was probably a wise choice. 2 away games in a week and then back home against local rivals. We did the hard work in the first half, didn't we? And we took the opportunity to rest legs.
Yeah. That's the thing for me. It's okay. That second half is okay if that's exactly what it was, and it appears to be a case of look, rest up. That's fine. My only concern is the fact that it's on the back of 2 performances that started like that, and then we're great to start. So as long as it's just take the foot off, but we learned the lessons from the last couple of games. And we know we have to start fast because
You
if you look
believe
at the
it is
first
that,
half
though,
as an
Joe?
opposite.
You do
Sorry?
believe it is that,
Yeah,
right?
I think it was.
I like
I
that. Yeah, I
think
do.
Farke
Right?
said, didn't he?
Look,
I think-
when you see how good we were in the first half, and this is what I've been saying for weeks about this, and again, I know we disagreed and people disagreed with me on this, but these kind of performances are contagious either way. Like if you start fast, if you can get into a rhythm of starting games quickly, we have the potential to rip teams apart in the first half. We genuinely have that potential. If you look at Ipswich, if you look at Leicester, if you look at Southampton, they're starting games like that. They're starting them out of the gate straight away, get in front early, or at least put teams under pressure very, very, tire them out. When we sit off, we allow teams to have far too much time on the ball, far too much opportunity to poke holes in our weak spots. So as long as that is what it is, and that we have identified that as the weakness, and we know going into the game against Leicester, we have to start at a high tempo. If we start off at a slow tempo, we'll get picked off. But if we go at them with that high tempo, if we start every game the rest of the season like that, we'll be fine. But my concern, it's not a concern, my only worry is that because it's so close to the other two, I'm not 100% sure it's taking the foot off the gas or just dropping levels.
And we are really inconsistent at the moment, I would say. That's what worries me. I realize, I know about sort of resting up plays and things like that, but it's like a mentality thing. What worries me is, do we have the mentality to go out against Leicester away and start like we did in the first half, and would kind of keeping the momentum going in the second half of kind of just, finished it off like, kind of once and for all kind of thing, instead of
I think there's very little danger of that if it's the same front four that starts. I think they come out firing, because I think that's the only way those well, certainly Cree, Rutter and James know how to play is balls to the wall. Let's just go after him. So if we made the changes like we did for Stoke, then I'd be more concerned, because I'd be like, oh God, there's a chance.
I don't think we dare do that.
I think he knows who is. Sorry, Lockie, go on.
I was just really quick. I was going to say, what sold it for me? Literally, Ampadu and Kamara were just passing each other 2 yards away. We just kept doing it.
It is against what I would describe as probably one of the worst football teams I've seen in a long time.
And that's it. So they knew that they were never going to win that game. I think it was I think they went all defensive, didn't they? In the second, they had five.
Their fans left the ground after half time.
Yeah, it was a dead game, and it was just, you know what I mean.
But that brings my next question, Lockie. There is a conversation that needs to be had of, were Leeds that good or Huddersfield that shit? Where do you lie?
Both, isn't it? At the end of the day, like, if Huddersfield were better, we're not 4-0 up at half time, and I think we see a performance from the 90 minutes, but we'd scored 4 at half time because they were.
Could have been more as well, right?
Or much more. I don't know what
that's
they
were got to do.
Trying. What were they even attempting to do? I have no idea. They give it to that lad Bergzorg, who was actually quite tricky on the ball.
He's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, give it him. Let him try something. That's genuinely the tactic. I think once it went 3, we knew, well, they're not coming back into this, and
they were dirty as well. They could have had a couple.
Yeah, there was some horrible challenges as well
over the ball on Ampadu.
What we have to do, and I think the players understand that Leicester is 10 levels above that. I think they get that. We have to now realise that, move on from this one, look at what we did well, and look at what we can improve on. There was 2 or 3 moments in the first half where they did get in behind. Why did that happen? Just work on that and take it into Leicester game and understand this. What, like Joe said, when we start games off slow, it's so frustrating, because why do we do that? We have to understand in this game we cannot do that. We have to match their intensity from minute 1.
I think Farke knows his best 11 now. I think it's taken him a while to figure it out, and I think he knows his best 11, and it doesn't involve Anthony or Nonto, because they both they don't get me wrong, they haven't had bad seasons, but they've just not been quite as effective as actually Dan James and Cree Somerville. So the way that he's taken those substitutes off against Huddersfield at the weekend to then prepare for this Leicester game, who's going to be starting pretty much in nearly every position. The only player that's obviously missing from that is Jed Spence at right back, but then the midfield, Ampadu and Kamara, and then Gray would be the backup to that, I feel. But yes, they were awful, but you can only beat what's in front of you, can't you? And I think also it comes to raising your game to play a certain team. I think just psychologically, I don't know how it works. It's some magical shit, but when you play against a better team, you tend to raise your game and try and. But against Leicester, I honestly think it's going to probably be a bit of a repeat of Southampton. Even with our best 11, I just think we start slowly because it's away from home at a team who have scored a lot of goals, have played very, very good football. And I feel like Farke will hesitate in making us be as attacking as we were against a Huddersfield when really, like Jer says, when we come out of the blocks and we go for it, that's actually when we're at our best. And as well, it's like offense is the best form of defense because when we go forward and when we attack, we've got the ball, we're creating danger for them. All they can do is counter-attack. And our rest defense, especially against teams like Huddersfield and stuff, has been so good because the ball just comes over the top. Pascal chests it down, just passes it to Rodon, and then we start again. And it's them two are just lovely at stopping breaks. But I just don't know. I've got a bad feeling about Leicester just because they're a really good team. And when we came up against Southampton, we were just so slow to start.
I think this will show, Max. This will show straight. I think we'll know in the first 15 minutes if we've learned from that because it's all about learning. Isn't it? We've got to learn.
Why is it that we come out and play and start slow? Is it like a mentality thing?
It's definitely when we're away. I've noticed that. It's definitely when we're away from home, I think. I don't know what it is.
The manager instructs it though, right? Like they're not
going sometimes you'll say to the team, like, first 5-10 minutes, just keep it tight, keep the ball, keep possession, keep recycling it. Just let's have a look, see what's in front of us, see what they're like, see if everyone is where we think they're going to be, because they will have gone through what they expect a Leicester team. Whatever Leicester is going to be to play. They'll go, this is where they're going to be. They'll have a look at that, see if anyone's moved or any change that needs to be made, or position and stuff that needs to change in the first 5 to 10 minutes. But yeah, you'll know in the first 5 minutes if Leeds have decided to go at them or are going to be a bit more pragmatic, I think is the polite word being used right now. My only concern going into the Leicester game is Rodon. He had a pretty heavily strapped left thigh anyway. Then he went off holding his left thigh early. So I'd hope it's just
it wasn't strapped, bro. It wasn't strapped.
No, he's wearing shorts underneath them. But if you look at his left thigh, there's also a slightly different color bandage underneath it, a bit longer on his left, strapping on his left upper thigh. So if you see when he's sitting down, you can just see it poking out at the bottom of the shorts.
Sure
that would be my only concern.
Don't take that bit out of context. And you see it when he's sitting down, you can see it poking out the bottom of his shorts.
If it is, then he's doing well. That would be my only concern, because if he comes out, obviously Cooper's going to come in, which means the stroke will go to right centre back, and then we lose.
I was looking at
I would be that dramatic with that as well. I think if that does happen, if Stroke ends up at right centre back and Cooper goes in left centre back, I don't think
it's dramatic, because that's literally what I was going to say. I was waiting to say if Cooper has to play at right centre back, I think we lose the game. Like, it's as simple as that, because he's just not quick enough. He's not mobile enough.
And he still does rash things. And when players are getting away from you a bit more now, you tend to throw yourself in a bit earlier. You can get caught. I would like to see the team that started. I agree that's the best 11 so far. I agree. I'd like to see that team start the game. But Rodon is the only question mark that I'm worried about currently. Hopefully that turns out just be a knock and he's okay.
Well, I was looking after the game. When they shake hands with everyone after, Cree was limping as well. So
Cree's suffering with cramp, he said, didn't he? Because he hasn't a full pre-season. He's struggling with a bit of cramp. But he reckons another 2 or 3 weeks and Cree will be ready for 3 games in a week.
Lockie,
yes.
You mentioned how Cresswell, there must be something in training that he's not showing, or that he is showing that it's not getting him into that starting lineup. But even if there is, I would still rather have him over Cooper at right centre back, because I've seen him, and this season I've seen him play better than Cooper. So for me, I would just pluck him straight from the 21s and put him in at right centre back if Rodon's not available. Like, even if there is something if he's fit, he's a better defender than Cooper at present for me.
Well, I'm managing, so I have no idea why.
No, Lockie, I want you to do it now.
Yeah, sorry. I would too, Max, but I'm
just thinking, because
it's weird.
There might be a reason for it, but for me, I can't see any reason good enough to not play him over Cooper.
No, me neither. But that's why Daniel Farke has decided that. Why has it? Someone should ask him maybe in the presser, because he asks terrible questions.
Fat chance of that, mate. What questions they've been asking lately? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
So,
what's your favourite pot noodle, Daniel?
Exactly, that's what we're getting.
Weird questions.
Do you ever speak to people in supermarkets? Was the latest one. Fucking hell. What we're dealing with here.
These are the things we're talking about here that we want to know, aren't they? These are what we do want to know. We want to.
If Jorginho Rutter was a milkshake, Daniel, what flavour milkshake would he be and why?
It's true, man. This is what we're getting. Right, okay, let's finish with some positives then. We've got Rutter, we've got Somerville, we've got Dan James, all of them flying.
Say that again.
Say
that again.
You said that through gritted
Say that again.
I was just about to say to you, at some point in time, I've said each one of them's absolutely shit. So,
Joe,
it is what it is.
That's
as you said that, Joe.
Consistency, exactly, yeah.
You know, you're allowed to criticize them when they're bad, and you're allowed to praise them when they're good. You can do both things.
Do you know what, though? Max hit the nail on the head earlier when he was speaking about Dan James, because for me, when Cree goes through and he's got Pirro to the left, Dan James to the right, when he passed to Dan James, in here, I've gone. Oh,
this is the same feeling as Bamford picking up that penalty.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Eyes. Joe, when he passed that ball, you were dead behind the eyes.
Yeah. No, but when he's passed, I mean, it's a great strike from James. A really great strike. He's took both his goals brilliantly. Right? And
do you think he can't do Fark is working with him on his positioning, because it's the same strike that he slices all the time. It's the same one where he runs at them at a bit, he flicks it to the right, and then he hacks at it straight away. And usually
around it, doesn't he? Nicely places it this time.
He seems to be 10 yards. He seems to be 10 yards further in field. Like he seems to be right in on level with the back post. So now when he is smashing that ball, it's going towards the goal and not out towards the stand.
I think I saw from Dan James, which I think consistently yesterday, which was so great to see, and I think it's something that a lot of us have called for from Dan for a long time now, is when he did, and I think you may have mentioned it slightly earlier, Max, is when he got into those positions, you saw him slow himself by half a yard of pace, take that moment to clear his mind, pick his spot, and then bury it, whereas before it's been like, hit it.
Beckford say that when Beckford was up at Thorpe Arch, because I heard him on LUTV during the weekend, I'm trying to figure out whether it was him that said it or somebody else said it, but I think it was Beckford that said he'd been talking to him about when he gets into those positions to take a big breath and to slow his mind. And if Bex is helping him and he's starting to point the back of the net with those kind of strikes, great. More of that, please.
Do you know that counter attack in particular, the one where Dan James, he curls it round the keeper's bottom left into our right hand corner, looking at the goal? I think that's off the training ground, that, because you see that. As I think it's a scripted counter-attack that Fark has actually practiced, because as Cree runs down the left-hand side, Pirro purposely makes a run across his path to draw the defenders away from Dan James, so that Dan James is open in more space on the other side, and then Dan James only has one defender to deal with, and he just wraps the ball around him. He
did the same against Norwich as well, and I think Jayden Anthony did the same thing as well. But just as he's about to check inside, they run right across and block the defender's view for a split second, and then when they come out, they've already taken that turn right.
They've either dribbled past or they've passed that ball, and just that split second getting across the eye line.
You took in,
It makes twice as well, because Joel Pirro, who's obviously probably scored goals against those defenders before, is running that, so they're gonna go, oh shit, we better go with Pirro, and then too late, it's already with Dan James, and it's almost a carbon copy of the Cree goal against Norwich as well. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we just Nonto, Jorginho to Somerville.
He was
down
shit, by the way.
Across in.
He was shit, by the way.
I think. I was gonna say
on
Dan James, I think he requires more coaching than other players, just because he's not technically gifted. But what Daniel Farke has done really well with him is just work on where he is, his positional play. Like I said, we build up down the left. There's no coincidence. We do that because we're better down there. The player's better. They're technically down there. They can do that. Dan James's role now is very simple. Or when we, in counter-attacks, it's very simple. Don't get the ball. Just wait for the trigger, and that's when Pirro makes a movement or whatever, and then make that run, and we'll find you. And then you 1v1, and like I say, work on the composure, and it's good to see. It's good to see a coach actually getting the best out of a player.
It's an old school cheat thing, isn't it, Lucky's, where you tell your winger, I want you to cheat. So you stay as high and wide as you can. And you just stay there. No matter what happens, stay there. So when we build up on the left and we just suck them over, and the more we recycle the ball, and that's where Kamara is really good, those little triangles on the left-hand side.
Yes.
We just suck everybody over and over, and then the ball is, then it's usually into Cree, switch across the park, and then you see James coming into the space. So it's definitely a scripted pattern. and it's definitely they've worked on telling James stay high and wide and stay there as long as you can for as long as you can, and then come in late.
And for me, it's so interesting how many goals we score on the counter or in transition when we're a possession-based side. That just makes us so deadly. It's really like from their set pieces.
Goal's phenomenal, by the way, bro. Yeah. Rutter over to some of
it's ridiculous. And it happened the other week as well. Same type of thing.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
13 seconds. 13 seconds it was.
Rutter's an absolute cheat code, mate, in this league. He's a cheat code. Do you know what I like about him most, though, with all the flair and everything he does and his work rate, is his strength, mate. That last goal, their right back, whoever it was at this time after the other one, I think, probably buried his head in a kebab and 15 pints of lager sulking. He tries to grab hold of him, mate, and a lot of players there would take the pull, go down, get a free kick. Rutter just bats him off. He's like,
it was amazing that.
He's ridiculous.
He's very good upper body strength, and you can see him sometimes when he holds the ball up, he leans into players, and there's times where you think, oh, Rutter's lost the ball, and he's like, it gets a bit away from him because of a bad touch or something, and then he gets it, even though a defender was closer to it, and you don't know how he does it. There was one where he was backed onto a player on the edge of the box, and you thought he'd lost the ball like 3 times, and he came out the other side with it and played a little 1-2 with Pirro, and whilst Pirro, I don't think he was involved a massive amount yesterday. When he was, you could see that he was
well involved.
In training,
I agree, Joe.
In training, they use the bounce pads, don't they? Where the ball is you just tap it into them and it bounces back to you, and it's just practicing your little 1-2s and then shooting and stuff. Pirro was there every single time. So when I say he wasn't involved, I mean he wasn't involved. Like
he was a wall pass. Every time he was a wall pass.
Every time he was there, he backed into Well, he did. He just backed into a defender,
stand there,
got a little 1-2, and then flicked it back to the player again, and it just keeps the move ticking over. And I've got to give Joe credit, by the way, because at the start of the season, he said we're moving the ball too slowly. If we move it quickly on these counterattacks, we will murder teams, and it's what we've started to do now. The speed at which we break now, it just stops defenders getting time to get set, and we score so many goals from it.
Joe just stands out for me.
It's getting too technical, this show now. I'm like,
I know, me too.
I'll bring it down with this. All right. So Rutter plays like
fucking bounce pads. What's a fucking bounce pad?
I'm glad you said that, Joe. I'm just sitting here nodding.
Educate, man. Just educate yourself, Kate. It is what it is. That's what I'm doing. I'm googling bounce pads after this. I'll have one in back garden.
It's just funny how Rutter plays like a 5'6", low centre of gravity, nippy winger, technical player, but with a body of a 6'3" guy. It's so weird how he does it, but he does it, and that's all that matters for us.
There's an awful lot to like about him, and all the skillful stuff is there, but there's 2 areas of his game that I love. One is his tracking back, because bearing in mind he's the 9, so he should be the furthest player away. Against Norwich, against Sheffield Wednesday, against Millwall, again against Stoke, you regularly see him coming sprinting back, trying to nick the ball off somebody in the corner flag and start a move from our corner flag. And I love that about him. He's not too afraid to do the hard work as well and get involved and help the team. And then the second one is literally just the weight of his passes. Like he seems to weight them perfect. They're never behind players. They're always just in front. They're very well weighted. I love that about him. Like he's a proper creative player in there now, but he's one of these common odd player in as far as you can get big, tall, leggy players who can move, but they don't use their range of their legs. Rutter does. As Max said, when he loses the ball, he'll stretch the leg out and he'll pull the ball back, and he knows his frame. He knows how big he is, and he uses it really well.
That word about it reminds me of some of the biggest players we've seen play in the Premier League, and it's like commentators always say they clearly just love playing football and want to run around, kick a ball with the mates. And Rutter gives me those vibes. He just loves playing football. He gets a really
when he gets smiling.
I love it.
He tries to contain it as he's subbing, and he's like,
when he's walking up.
You know what I mean?
So
he's just a child, isn't he?
He's a child. Pure enjoyment of football and pure excitement, isn't it? It's like you can see him walking off the pitch. He's like a little kid who's done really well, and he's like.
I almost want to walk down the tunnel going.
you can see he's got Farker's voice in the back of his head saying, "Don't embarrass people, don't embarrass people," because he's like, it is the bear. He's like,
Bunch of balloons like that.
that should be his man
Yeah,
of the match
I'll
award. You got 5 minutes going nuts.
It just makes him really likable as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let's.
It's great.
Are we? Yep. Good.
Yep.
Right. Let's finish up on. Let's finish up on Somerville then as well, because I think he needs to get his flowers. I know Kamara has flown under the radar. We ain't got enough time to spit on Kamara as well. But let's talk about Somerville, because at half time, and I know who scored or sofa score isn't the barometer with which we should value every single footballing performance. But ultimately, at half time, he had a perfect 10. He had a perfect 10 on sofa score. He'd got 2 goals, 2 assists. LUFC did their thing. I think he'd done 12 out of 14 successful take-ons, all this sort of stuff. He was different gravy. And we were talking about it the other week, the one play, I think me and Jer did a video on it. He was the one that I think we'd have all said at the start of the season, he's going to cause an issue. We all thought Nonto loved it, but in actual fact, he's got his head down. And okay, he was quiet at the start of the season, but at the minute, everything he touches turns to gold. And I go into games now thinking he's going to score, not Pirro. Do you know what I mean? He's the one that I think, he's probably worth a first goal scorer, because he's just absolutely.
Should we be thinking that though? Joe?
What do you mean?
Well, for me, Pirro is kind of underperforming, underachieving at the moment.
Oh, right. Okay. You mean, right. Yeah. Well, I think
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe it's the position thing in it. But I do think he had a good game yesterday.
Yeah. I thought he was very involved yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. So do I.
But I get what Kate's saying, and that the question is, what position are we judging him on? Are we judging him as a number 10 link-up player, or was he judging him as a top goal-scoring number 9? And that's the question. But I completely understand where you're coming from with that. But I did think he was involved. Again, I keep saying it's the little small. Max has called them wall passes or passports, but it is that little small link-up play. It is those little touches around the edge of the box to keep the ball moving. It is that bit of cleverness for him to find space, because he attracts attention. Naturally, you're not going to give Joe Pirro room on the edge of the box. So when he
do you think he's happy playing that position, Jer?
I don't know, but when I was a striker, I never liked playing as a 10. I wanted to be scoring goals. That's all I wanted to do. So when I went into a 10, I was like, fine. To be fair. Yeah, I know that. I know that. But I do always feel that if he was the number 9, a lot of the balls that flash across the box that we don't get anything on, I do always feel that he's the kind of player who would get on the end of those.
Especially Dan James crosses. That's exactly where he likes to put them.
Just smashed across the box, and I always expect him to be the one that gets his toe on the end of it. But look, all that matters right now is he's doing a job for the team, and as long as that works and keeps working, you can't argue with it. But it'll always come up in conversation when it doesn't work, and that's
I said on my post-match, how long until Kreese, the Dutch national team, are at least getting him involved and having a look at him? Because I don't care it's the championship. He's levels above this league when he's on song. Surely they've got to be going, let's get him in the squad.
There's precedent for it, isn't there? Because Nonto's played for Italy multiple times. So there is it's becoming more of a thing, more of an accepted thing, isn't it? Yeah. Because
it's really a testament to the squad, Max, as well, that Nonto isn't starting and is an Italian international.
Well, we were on about weakness in certain areas earlier with Ayling and Cooper. Anthony and Nonto are the kind of players I want sat on that bench who can come on and the levels don't drop significantly. There might be a slight dip, but they're there to do a job and will do a job.
When they're on form, they can be just as good
as
Dan James and Kreese Somerville. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? But when they're not on form as much, you can play these two. And when Kree drops or James drops his form a little bit, you've got those players on the bench. And that's, like you say, Chris, that's exactly the sort of backup you need.
I don't think it's as wild to say better than as well. I know it's easy now with recency bias to say not, but you can't tell me when Nonto's on his game, he ain't better than Dan James.
No, well, they've both done it in the Prem.
He's on his game, When he's top,
when he's on his game, We've seen that last season when he was on his game. He was unbelievable, Nonto.
You could set up at all of them when they're all on top of their game.
Yeah.
You know, but it's. And that's exactly the point Chris is making. Like that's the level. You've got a bench that if they do come on at a point to prove, they can come on and prove a point. You know, because Jaden Anthony has shown off the bench he can make an impact in a game. He has shown that. Like that's why everyone was calling for him to start. And then we get to start, and unfortunately, everyone's just a
shy,
bit
wasn't he?
flat in that game. But it's, but he has shown that he can make an impact. And we know what Nanto can do when he fancies it. The Square Ball said today again about Nanto still heading down the tunnel straight after the games. He's not staying out on top of the fans. He's still going down. And I wonder if that stuff's still playing in his mind. Like he's not fully kind of
He might
happy
be
out
sore
there.
as well because he probably got a bit of abuse, right?
Of course he did.
Right,
He did,
but
yeah.
he's probably thinking, "No, I'm not staying with these. They were out of order." You know what I mean? And he's a young lad as well. But we were right.
Is that
calling him a rat.
did you see
Yeah,
that
pass
post
it.
today about the pictures being took? So there was 5 players that came after and took pictures with players, and Nanto was one of them. There's a picture of him. So.
He's outside the ground. Yeah.
And do you know
Maybe
what, mate?
maybe it's advice. Maybe he's been told. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
and you
it
know
is.
what?
Yeah.
As long as
But
when he's on the pitch, he puts a shift in. If he wants to walk off down the tunnel because he's maybe feeling a bit sheepish, maybe he's still a bit embarrassed.
Insecure and that. Yeah,
I've,
exactly.
I've no
19,
issue. I've no issue with that. I just hope it's a case that he's, what happened. He's gotten past it. He apologized. The fans have all gotten past it now. No one's booing him when he comes on. He's getting cheered. His name's getting sang again. So we've all moved past it. You would just like to think that he starts to enjoy his football again now and isn't out there thinking, I don't want to be here. I would like to see him get back to playing with a smile on his face, because when he does play with a smile on his face, he's a joy to watch.
I think a goal changes everything for Willie now. If he gets a goal, he's off and flying.
100%. Right. With all the good things we've just said there, Rutter, your Somervilles, your Nantos. I don't know if Dan James falls in that category, but we'll stick him
He does.
there.
Like the bullet, he does.
I'm talking about this season if we don't get promoted, them players.
Okay.
Dan James maybe stays, but the rest definitely don't.
No,
So regardless of what, like people were saying earlier, oh no, that no one will pay X amount. It becomes a point where the clubs that'll be knocking on the door, these players can't say no to. They're that. Listen, at the end of the day, Rutter was wanted by Dortmund in the summer. Do you know what I mean? So you can't be telling me they still ain't got eyes on him.
That was 20 million.
You know what I mean? Exactly. So there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot more money put up. So we have to get promoted, right? We must get promoted because that's the only worry with this group.
This is the danger of being a top level, a higher level championship team. That if you don't get promoted, but you've had a great season, you've had players who've had great season, your best players are going to get poached and sold off elsewhere because
look
they
at
can't
Coventry.
say no.
Look at Coventry now.
Like
They lost
yeah.
Perez and Heyman.
20
And that'll be us, man.
And don't say you can't get a fee. They got 20 million for Gyökeres. That's a lot of money for them, for a player. So if the players and every team that gets promoted, the first thing they're going to do is turn around, look straight down, and go, which are the best lads we can pick here to help us next season in the Premier League. And don't be surprised if you see the likes of Leicester and that go after Craig. And don't be surprised if you see Burnley that come in again in January and try and nick him. They already had a £20 million bid turned down. They might up that if they need it.
Well, according to your mate, Joe, Ndidi's better than Cree. So wonder how that'll change. You know what I mean?
Don't worry about him. I've got him on the show on Wednesday, so I'll cook him up nice and proper.
If we don't get promoted, we're going to go down in a few years as one of the best sides ever to not get promoted. Going and they'll be like, look at this team now. Jorginho Rutter's won a Ballon d'Or and Crescencio Somerville's won a Champions League and stuff. And you look back at the team though.
Retire his number. Retire his number.
You know what I mean though? That you see them, don't you? And I don't want to become a statistic.
It's my biggest fear is that Ipswich and Leicester continue to run away with the league, and we run away with third, like we're 20 points clear of fourth, and then we end up losing the playoff semi. That's the bit that always.
We will lose the playoffs, Southampton will beat us in the playoffs or something. I'm telling you, we will lose if we finish in the playoffs. Game over.
Without doubt.
I still think top two is doable. I still think Ipswich will have a wobble. I still think Leicester will have a wobble. I still think there's time.
Got AFCON.
I don't know if we'll.
So let's
African Cup of
Nations. Let's do this then, Joe, to finish up. Will Leeds United begin that wobble of Leicester on Friday? Quick predictions, because we're on for an hour and 15. So quick predictions. Will they start that wobble on Friday, Joe?
I think we draw Friday. And I think it's a good result to get.
What's your score prediction? 1-1.
1-1.
Kate?
I think it should. There's no reason why we can't go there and do a job. I think it'll be an attritional. Is that a good word to use?
It's a right word,
attritional match, and I'm going to go for. I'd be happy with the draw. to be honest. I'm going to go for a draw.
Yeah. Lockie?
I was going to go draw, but we'll do something different now. We'll
Get beat.
Don't.
No, of course not. We're going to win.
Abandoned.
We're going to win, and it's going to be that score again, Joe, that I always do for you. 3-1.
Ooh, I think that's too much. I think...
Got a tenner on it,
I
Lockie,
get
will ya?
Yeah.
I don't know
I
about
don't know how
that.
it's going to go. I can't even tell you. I am worried, though. If I'm honest, I'm worried. Because I think if they score in the first half, I think it's game over. We have to stay in it for me. Chris, thoughts?
I've been saying for about 2-3 weeks, mate, we beat them.
Love it, Chris.
I think it'll be 2-1, and I'll even call the scorers. It'll be Cree and Pirro will score.
Love it.
Oh,
Love it.
wow. I love that.
I mean, D-Walk,
Love that.
let me just say, if you sat through an hour and 10 minutes of this and you believe it's negative, you need to look inside, bro. Because I'm telling you, there's not been an hour and 10 minutes worth of negativity on this. I'm telling you, please, come on now, do better. Max,
However, I would like to repeat what Joe said earlier. If Rodon's not fit and Coop starts, my prediction's gone.
Yeah, definitely. Max, come on then, finish us on a uber positive. Tell us we're going to win 5-0.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to prove him right here because I think we're going to lose.
Yeah.
I think we are going to get beat. We're going to have a slow start. We're going to get beat 3-0. And
Really?
I think that a very poor side, not Huddersfield, not as bad as that, but somebody down the bottom of the table is going to beat them. And that's going to start the rock, because that's the way. It's not usually a top team, is it, that does it? It's usually what used to be Wigan for us, and it's usually someone who's not very good that somehow turns them over. And I feel like that's going to happen. And I never predict a loss, but I've just got a feeling. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong.
Are you doing a watch along, Max?
Yeah.
I might tune into that and absolutely hammer in the comments.
It's my birthday weekend as well, so it's just gonna, I've predicted us to just lose. It's be sad all weekend.
Hopefully we'll win, but we'll have to wait and see.
Oh yeah, I hope we win. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Happy birthday for the weekend as well, broski. How old are you now? 49?
I'll be 26 on Sunday.
26. Okay.
Jeez.
You look good. You look good for 26, mate. Well done. Right, folks, please do smash a like on this video. Please check out everyone's channels. It's going to be a busy week. Obviously, we've got the game on Friday and then Plymouth the week after, and then it's the international break again, unfortunately. But keep it locked as best you can. I've got some exciting content primed for the international break. I think, anyway. I hope it does well. We'll wait and see. Please do smash a like on the video. And also, you're going to be redirected. So stay where you are, because this is going to jump straight over to Never a Foul, where I'm on after this. I didn't know you could do this, but when this finishes, it's just going to boot you straight over to their channel. So I'll be there as well. So make sure you join me there. And we'll just be taking piss out of a Manchester United fan in Cass if you watch Never a Foul. So it'll be fun if you're stuck for something to do. So stay where you are and you go straight over there now. Check everyone out and we'll see you in a bit.